Let's bring on Carolina Sosa and Kelly Bausman. Welcome. Also, first of all, I love having a panel all women. So, thank you guys both for being here.
Thank you for having me, Steph.
So, first things first, I'm going to ask each of you to kind of talk a little bit about your backgrounds. Carolina, you are a board member and an ambassador for rAVe. And Kelly, you do a lot of sustainability work at AVI SPL. So, Kelly, do you first want to just talk a little bit about your background and your experience with sustainability and AV?
Sure. Thank you. Well, first, I'm really pleased to be here and sharing just best practices with each other today. I've been with AVI SBL unbelievably for 27 years,
Wow.
and I've had multiple roles here in the company, but most recently have been leading our sustainability initiatives. And so I'm now our global leader of ESG.
Very cool. Carolina, what about you? I know that you've been a board member and an ambassador for a few years now. So, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, well, I found SAVE at ISC 3 years ago now, and I fell in love with the initiative. So I became an ambassador for Bogota, for Colombia. After that, I became part of the board of SAVE. I have been working hard to bring sustainability to the industry, and now, as Kelly, I'm a new member of the Avixa Sustainability Advisory Group.
Very cool. Yeah, y'all are both like the two perfect women to have on this panel, basically.
Yeah.
So, first of all, let's kind of start big picture, and this is just like whoever wants to take this first can jump on in. But what do you guys think sustainability looks like in AV right now in general, and what do you think it should look like 5 years from now?
Kelly, do you want to start?
I was going to say the same. That's what happens when we have a panel of collaborators, stuff. Um, well, I think it's, what does it look like now? Right now, I feel like there's a groundswell of just fresh interest in sustainability, and it's matched with significant progress
Yeah.
of, you know, organizations like SAVE, vendors and manufacturers, integrators who are starting to create real long-term value from sustainability initiatives. So I feel like it's a pivotal time for growth. And ideally, in 5 years, we're going to look back and say, wow, that was a turning point for us where we really started maturing as an industry and laid the foundation for how Avixa, the industry, would move forward.
Yeah. Carolina, what
Yes,
do you think?
yes. I was going to say that I agree. It's like we are giving our first steps. We are moving in this path to sustainability. I feel like the countries are introducing regulations that we have to learn about to keep selling products. The people working in the industry is concerned about what is happening with the product that we are selling. Customers are asking for integrators to help them to build more sustainable projects, but at the same time to help them to know what to do with all devices when they change the technology. So we are building something that I think is going to be big in the industry. And I think in 5 years, we are going to be a more educated industry, and we will have better practices related with sustainability.
I really agree. I do think that one, the United States is starting to learn from other countries because other countries have like more hard and fast sustainability laws that we don't necessarily have. But I do think that we're starting to pay attention,
Yes.
and start to take those things in account. And I kind of agree with both of you that in the next 5 years we're really going to start to see both like all of these balls start to roll. Um, so, from both of your perspectives, what are the most meaningful sustainability changes that you guys have seen take root in the past few years? Because I know Save has made it um, just like more well known, like all of the work that's being done and what you can do for sustainability. So, I'm just wondering, what are the biggest changes that you guys have seen like actually take place?
Well, I think the main change that I have seen is awareness. Is like sustainability is something that we are talking about. So that would be the first thing that I choose if I had to choose one. But there are other changes. Is like manufacturers are changing the way they package the devices. They are not sending all the connectors that we are not going to use, like the European connectors to South America, because that's a loss. Um, I think that companies like Crestron or Shure, I don't know if I can name
No, that's
them.
okay. That's fine.
Okay. They have been building they have been working in build strong sustainability plans, and they have big departments to bring sustainability to the industry. But there are also things like or companies like Ford that's a speakers manufacturer that not only has things of green energy to build their products, solar energy. They also build their raw materials in a radio of 300 kilometers to reduce their carbon footprint. They allow us to repair the products. Not we don't have to send it to the fabric in Germany. We just receive the piece and we can repair. So these are small things that are happening, but at the same time are meaningful changes in the industry.
No, I agree.
Was that clear?
So I love Carolina's example of manufacturers not putting like the power adapters in the box and
Mhm.
sending it to South America when it's for European power. That kind of waste has just been something that we as an industry were doing out of the need for convenience and customer experience, wanting to deliver as quickly and efficiently as possible. But at the same time, it's nice to see manufacturers realizing that waste is an issue, and it isn't just at the end of life of the product. It's also at the beginning, not
Mhm.
including things that aren't needed. So I think we're also seeing really meaningful changes coming from manufacturers globally. Like we're seeing more carbon labeling, and I really appreciate that. I mean, carbon labeling is not new. Companies have been doing like life cycle analysis for years, but it's new to our industry, and we see a lot more manufacturers willing to take that plunge and to make that commitment to share a very important measure of embodied carbon. Also, we're seeing manufacturers doing circular manufacturing, right? Um, some large electronics vendors are reusing old materials. Like one vendor is recycling their old CDs from their music business, and that's becoming the backs of their TVs. Another vendor is taking back the same product, taking the plastic out of it, recycling it, and making the next gen of the product. So there's all of these considerations of reducing waste that are actually coming forward as formal practices. And I think in general, that's just kind of raising the consciousness of sustainability in our industry.
Yeah, 100%.
I
Another
would.
one that just came to
Can I
mind
add
that
something,
oh,
Esther?
yeah, yeah, of course, go ahead.
I was going to say that another big change that I have noticed is that we have groups where the manufacturers meet the distributors and the integrators, and we can talk about these topics to build together best practices, because sometimes we can give the manufacturers important information about how are we handling the products or the packages. So having spaces to talk about it, it's important, and it's a big change also.
Yeah, because that's how they're going to learn,
Yeah.
is like having a space where they can ask questions and learn like what's needed and what's not. I there was like another manufacturer initiative that was just announced last week, I think. Aver now I think gives you like a coupon or a discount for a new camera if you give them your old camera, and it doesn't have to be an Aver camera, and they will recycle it responsibly, which I think is so cool that we're
Yeah.
starting to see so many manufacturers have programs like this practice, because that's what I've heard so many integrators have questions about is, what do I do with the old stuff? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know how to be sustainable here. So I think like having answers for that, like from manufacturers, because I think that's where we're going to see real change, is really cool and really important.
Yeah.
Um, but that said, there is a lot of buzz around like eco-friendly design right now. It's kind of hard to cut through the noise, right? Because we don't always know like what they're just saying as a marketing term and what is actually eco-friendly. So what does that actually look like in practice for AV hardware and systems? You guys already mentioned like maybe not sending the power cable that doesn't even work in your country, but like what are some other like good best practices?
Carolina, do you want to go first?
Okay, thanks. Okay, I think related to eco design and circularity, those are different topics, and sometimes they get together. Circularity is something that sometimes generates controversy in the industry because some manufacturers doesn't want the people resell the devices. But I think we have to we have the opportunity to develop a market that can be important in the industry. I was looking for numbers, and I found that there's a growing market related to secondhand and refurbished technology. In 2024, it was about 110 billions of dollars, and we have a big opportunity here. And while we are working in circularity, because circularity is something that we can impact faster, we can work on eco design. So we have in the industry very cool inventions. I'm going to say it's like we have speakers built with recycled aluminum. We have LED screens that produce oxygen while they are working or not working. They just produce oxygen. So these are things that I think they are not being recognized as they should be in the industry right now, but they are going to be recognized in a near future. And I think we have to start looking in both things because circularity is as important as eco design.
So we saw the same buzz, I guess, that you're talking about, Steph, with eco design and circularity as being really the two most common topics that our customers were bringing up to us, asking for support and making sustainable decisions about technology. So I'll make two quick plugs. AVI SPL developed some eco-friendly reference designs. These are room standards that have technology decisions that are based on being able to measure the embodied carbon in the technology that you're procuring, being able to understand what the typical energy use of that technology is, the carbon footprint of it, and then the designs are also meant to be able to operate in low power mode, maximize using power over Ethernet, which generally consumes less power. So first thing we did is we defined eco-friendly. Like, what would it mean and how would we prove it? Then we worked with partners in the industry and came up with some initial, like we have 4 reference designs that we can say without a doubt, you can measure this cradle to grave, what impact this will have on your company when you choose this design. And then considering circularity, again, that's something customers are interested in. And all of the vendor buyback programs are great. They're better for integrators than for end users because an end user doesn't want to move all of that gear to their loading dock as they're refreshing their systems and then have to sort it and send it separately, right? So we're introducing e-waste management services. We're piloting them now. They will go nationwide soon, where we're the person who comes and then takes all of that, either responsibly recycles it per the customer's instructions. We might take some of it and send it to buyback programs. There's also opportunities for that gear to have a second life. And so, like with our own IT e-waste here in Tampa, we work with a recycler. All of our e-waste nationally comes here. They refurbish and redeploy our laptops into charitable organizations. So I think these are the two most common topics right now because that's what our customers are asking about. And so we have found ways to partner with them on that.
That's awesome.
I want to add something about what Kelly said. Is I think it's very important to think about donation of donate these all equipment, all devices that we change in our projects or the customer projects, because we have a big opportunity to be an industry that helps like low income communities to be educated through technology. uh, so that's a very cool thing that I think we can do. And the second life, it's important also to keep the devices working all the time that they can work.
Yeah, Save a Second Life
Yeah.
program is amazing about that because I know that Save will take equipment and they will find like a non-governmental agency, a low income like group or someone that can still use that technology because a lot of the time the technology still works. It's just that someone is sunsetting something about it, so instead so they'll just send a whole new unit. So yeah, it is really unsustainable to just like throw away that whole unit that still works when someone somewhere can use it. So that's another thing I love about Save is that they will help you find someone who will be able to use that tech still.
Yes.
Um, we have a couple of audience questions, so I figured I would go ahead and ask you guys those if that is okay. Andrew has asked, what are some of the key sustainability focuses in the live event space, specifically in corporate events?
Well, I had an opportunity to talk with a company that worked in live events, and they are doing cool things. Those are small things that has a big impact. They are changing their batteries of their devices. They use a lot of batteries, and they have contenters full of these batteries. So they are looking for a better way to keep the devices working without using these kind of batteries, disposable batteries. And they are also taking care of the cables. It's like sometimes the cables of the events are disposed, and they are starting to recover these cables to use it again. Work with people. Sustainability is not just about recycling or reducing. It's also giving quality employment, gender equality. So those kind of things are, I think, are topics that the live events can start working and to be more sustainable.
I'll add to that. So, from a live event like staging perspective, I've seen some great companies who are creating more modular and lightweight staging pieces out of recycled aluminum. And that seems like, okay, yeah, a lot of staging, people just put it back in their warehouse and they truck it. So it's not going end of life quickly, but you need it to be lightweight and modular, right? So that it can be flexible. And when it's transported, it's causing less carbon emissions because it's easier to package. It's not as heavy to transport. There's all sorts of factors that go into ways to make staging even more sustainable. But I like where Carolina ended, which is like thinking about the impact your event has on the community, people, and planet at large. So ABI SPL partners with a vendor called Piece by Piece, right? Peace, PEACE by Piece. And we're sourcing any giveaways that we do at events that are certifiably made and then typically by nonprofit or groups of people who are kind of organized through NGOs, so that if we're buying a notebook to hand out, it has been made by a small group a charitable organization. We're sourcing it sustainably and at the same time giving back to the community who made the product. So I think there's also ways to think about it that way, and especially when you go to SAVE and the mission of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainability is about the environment, but it's also about people.
Yes.
Absolutely. Both of those are really, really great answers. And our other audience question came in from the good people over at Show Sage. And they said that they're reevaluating packaging right now. Is there a go to resource to see what options might be best in terms of packaging for the environment?
Mm. Well, no bleached packaging. Like don't
That's a good step.
don't bother with white boxes. Get rid of your foam. Reduce the plastic, as Carolina said. Don't package things that don't need to be packaged.
Yes, I was on an event last year, and somebody came to me and said, "It's like, why manufacturers, if I order 20 devices, the same device, they send the 20 every in one box instead of sending the 20 in just one big box." So
Mhm.
I think thinking these little things that can help a lot. As Kelly said, is like using the normal cardboard without a lot of inks. That can be as something
Mhm.
that can make a big impact because we use a lot of cardboard. Yeah.
Mhm.
Something great that I've seen as well is products that are packaged completely in like unbleached cardboard so that you can recycle the entire packaging,
Yep.
which is really, really nice. I think Logitech does this. I want to say
Mhm.
Sony does this as well off the top of my head. So I don't know in terms of like a resource, like in terms of like a list somewhere what's best, but I do know that the steps that these ladies have said are really, really great first steps.
Yeah.
Um,
I also want to say that there are some regulations in countries that are not allowing the use of foam. Is I knew for somebody in Costa Rica that told me that they have to pay a penalty if the providers or the manufacturers send foam to the country because they don't have a way to recycle it or to transform it, and it becomes a problem. So those are little things that we have to start to learn because at some point it's going to be a problem for all the integrators or distributors.
100%. So let's talk about some challenges for a few minutes because I do know that, like, it isn't always the easy choice to be sustainable. It's not always easy to make the right choice. So, what are some of the big changes out there in terms of making AV more sustainable? Because I know that, like, materials, like we talked about, that's a tough part. The processes, getting buy in, customer awareness. What do you guys think are some of the biggest challenges, or do you kind of think it's just a mix of everything?
Okay. I think making the industry understand that we can be profitable and at the same time a sustainable industry is one of the biggest challenges because the people sometimes feel or think that sustainability means like less production or less consumption and less sales, and it's not like that. I think sustainability is about being conscious of the impact that our business has on the planet and be creative enough to change the way or the things that are not working for us on the planet. So that's the biggest challenge for me. I think also the people think sustainability is complex, and I think there are complex things in sustainability, but we can start this path doing small things like just recycle.
Mhm.
That's one of the things that I think it's a big challenge. And I have heard people saying to me, "It's like I don't know where to start. There are so many words, there are so many things, and it gets confused sometimes." I feel like manufacturers know that the products need to be built in more sustainable way, and they are working on this. but distributors and integrators also have to do our part. So it's not just about manufacturers, but also a responsibility of all the industry. And that, I think, one challenge that we have is to start to work together on this. Um, as I said, we can make do small changes that add a lot to the industry and to the planet and the people.
Thank you. So, Steffi, you mentioned a lot of things. What is the challenge? What's kind of holding us back? Is it materials, processes, buy-in? I think it kind of goes a little bit to mindset, and that was kind of a mindset that Carolina's, attuning to. It's this mindset that sustainability is going to be hard work and low reward, but in fact, sustainability is a value creator. And I think the more we can start thinking about sustainability as a way to create long-term value in our own company, we've seen some of our sustainability initiatives, well, all of our sustainability initiatives reduce waste in some way. And when we reduce waste, we save money, right? It's a cost cutting. But there's also opportunity to gain, customer loyalty from helping them achieve their sustainability goals. There's also an opportunity to attract employees and keep employees happy. So I think there's thinking of sustainability as a value driver instead of as something else that needs to be done or a challenge really helps shift the mindset so that companies start to embrace it as part of their strategic motions instead of tangential.
Yeah. No, I really like what both of you said, and I wanted to go back to Carolina's point because Carolina, you mentioned that when people talk to you, they're like, I don't know where to start. This is also complicated. I don't know what half of these words mean. And let's be honest, there are a lot of companies in AV that don't have sustainability teams. They don't have a huge budget. So, where is a good place for these companies and these people to start? And what resources exist out there for them to just kind of read over and like maybe dip their toe into the water a little bit?
Well, I think a good thing to start is to recycle. Recycle is like in Latin America we have two different kinds of recyclers. It's like the cardboard or the plastic recycler and the e-waste recycler. So to work with both is good to give them the packaging and also to introduce these recyclers to our customers is a good way to start. We always recommend from Safe. We always recommend to look for a certified e-waste recycler because not all the recyclers we find are responsible. Some of them just take the materials they need and send the rest of the devices to the landfill, and that's not a good practice. So we recommend to visit the recycler to check that they have all the certifications that your country asks to these companies. That's a good point of start. We also promote to look for the legislation that your country has because all the countries are different. Some of them have worked this path, have more experience about this. So look for the regulation or the legislation is important. I didn't know we had legislation in Colombia, and it results that we have this for 13 years now. And also, we have to send informations to the government about the devices that we import to the country, and it results that this is new, but if I didn't explore this, I wouldn't know that we had to do that, and we could be fined at some point. So look for legislation is important. I always recommend like the Safe workshop because it gives companies or the people like a easy way to start on the sustainability path of every company. But webinars are also a good way to learn from others, like what we are doing right now. And I said that at SAVE and the AVIXA Sustainability Advisory Group, or the people that is working here, it's a good way to ask questions, and I think most of us are going to be happy to answer what we can answer. I think those are the tools that I know right now.
That's great.
It's great. Yeah, like Carolina said, Steph, we're starting right now with whoever's listening. And we also have the AVIXA Sustainability Advisory Group that meets once a month, and it is a peer group where we're sharing our experiences, knowledge about upcoming legislation, knowledge about emerging standards, case studies of what members are doing in their own organizations, speaking at ISE, speaking at InfoComm. We'll be hosting a sustainability tour with AVIXA at InfoComm. So I think really getting out and meeting other people who are doing it and asking them, like, where did you start? What did you find was most important? Another thing is, like, listen to your stakeholders. I mean, for us, customers are asking about this, and manufacturers are telling us about the things that they're doing. And so, even if you're new to this, just be listening and put those two pieces together. Customers asking about this. Maybe you know that a manufacturer has a unique solution for that. Like, wed those things together as a way to be a jumping off point for how you could start embedding sustainability into your own business.
That's amazing. I know that we have about 5 minutes left, so I kind of wanted to ask like one good wind down question and kind of give you guys, a chance to just say anything else that you wanted our audience to know. So, if we're thinking future forward, what is something that you wish more people in the AV industry understood about sustainability?
Kelly, do you want to start?
Sure. I wish that more people understood that sustainability is really essential to
Mhm.
the future of any one of our business, right? The principles of sustainability help us make our own businesses and our own solutions more resilient, but it also helps make the industry more resilient. So I'll kind of go back to sustainability is ultimately a value creator when it is embedded into a company strategy. The other thing I'll say is that more people care about this than you might realize, right? I mean, a lot of people think that this is something extra that's getting added into RFPs, but really, I'll go back to where we started. There is a groundswell of interest in this. And because it's Earth Day here too, we held a mini town hall with our employees this morning, the CEO and I. And we had over 600 people show up just to hear us talk about what Earth Day is, what it means to us, what our sustainability vision is. And then we announced a new initiative called the AVISBL Green Team, which is open to all employees who want to work on this mission with us and start applying like eco-friendly practices in their own day-to-day activities or at our offices or in interaction with vendors. And with Stephanie, like within 10 minutes, I had dozens of people who had volunteered for the team before I even got the official word out. So I think that the really parting message would be is it's more important than people realize, and it's more valuable to people than we realize. It is something that is just what humankind wants to do right now.
Yeah. It's a morality thing. It really is. Carolina, what about you?
Well, as I said before, I think one of the things that I would like the industry understood is like sustainability is not against profits. I think there's a lot of it's like the people is more open to sustainability right now, but sometimes they get confused about this. It's like it doesn't have to be one or the other. I agree with Kelly. Is like next generations value sustainability, and next generations are going to be our customers. So they will buy for companies that are aligned with this. This is not fast fashion. This is something that will stay and grow. And I think that that we are seeing right now is going to grow in our industry. We are seeing the first steps to be a more sustainable industry, and there are a lot of uh, people. There is a lot of people that is really committed with this. I had the opportunity to see the ESG inform that Kelly showed us in the AVIXA's committee, and I think the the companies are doing a great effort to bring sustainability to our industry, and that's something that we are going to celebrate in 5 years, as you asked.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Well, as we wind down here, I wanted to thank both of you so, so much for coming and joining this panel. It has been so lovely getting to talk to you. So, the last thing I'm going to ask is where can people find more information on either of you if they would like to connect with you on social media, and where to find more information on your organizations and company if they would like to reach out that way as well. Carolina, would you like to go first?
Yes, well, about SAFE, you can find information about in www.safeab.org or sorry.
Yes, same. Yeah,
And
you got it.
yeah, and also on LinkedIn, we have information. We are posting about all the things that we are doing on SAFE. We are having the second SAFE conference. I hope you join us this time too, because there's a lot of information that we share there. And you can find me on LinkedIn also as Caro Sosa or Carolina Sosa.
Amazing. Kelly, what about you?
Thank you. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm posting a bit today because it's Earth Day. Also, you can find me in the Avixa Sustainability Advisory Group, which has a page on their site. And then, of course, avispl.com/ESG.
Amazing. Thank you guys both so much. And happy Earth Day to both of you.
Thank
You
you. You
too.
too.
All right.